in this day's money challenge for the month of March, I want you to think about your bank accounts. And for some people, they know this. I'm saying this because it seems fairly obvious to me, but I've talked to a lot of people where this is not obvious. So I want you to think about opening 3 to 4 separate checking accounts, or and I'll talk about high yield savings accounts, like preferably a high yield savings account where your money will collect interest. But I'll talk about that in the next video, which will be the next challenge. But I want you to think about having a bank account where all of your expenses come in. And I'm not saying you have to do this. I think you have to just be very thoughtful and planful. And if you have to work with a professional on this, do so. But I want you to start to think about having an account for where like all of your sessions and stuff like that, like all of that money is getting deposited, and then out of that one main business account, which you should have a dedicated business account separate from your personal account. One is purely for business. And then I want you to think about a checking account or a savings account for your taxes, right? Like quarterly taxes. I don't know if you pay every month, estimated taxes, whatever it is. But whatever it is that you're bringing in, some portion of that money needs to go to pay for taxes. A second account needs to go for like trainings and like conferences, things that are like professional development, right? Because you don't want to use tax money to pay for a conference. If you can't put money aside for the conferences, then you're not going to the conference. Guess what? Like, right? Like, I'm saying this from the perspective of I want you to just become much more intentional about recognizing where your money is going. And so if you have to just conceptualize it in your head, but then actually take the action step, that's even better. But I want you to just conceptualize it, right? One goes to taxes, one goes to conferences, one goes to sick time, because if you need to, like, if you, for whatever reason, if your kid is sick or your client doesn't come or your whatever the thing is, you're not freaking out about the fact of like, oh my God, I didn't make any income this week because the kids are sick. And like there's this element of you. That's why you have this like sick vacation fund account, because like if they don't show, which they will not show because life happens and your kids get sick and we're on vacation or whatever, you can still get paid the like a portion of your income or your salary when you're actually not working. Okay. And then the fourth should be like a fun account, like a profit account, like money that is just like it's almost like found money, right? Where you'd be like, oh my God, like there's like found $20 in my pocket. But except it's much more intentional, right? So I want you to think about like having those 4 accounts, and then either, and I use the Profit First for therapists. She gives you a formula that will say, okay, how much is going towards taxes, what percentage should go to taxes, what percentage should go towards like a profit account, sick time, whatever, and conferences, right? Like, so that professional development, so that you are feeding each bucket. And ideally, when something comes up, you will be able to access each of these buckets and not feel this like overwhelming sense of like, I don't have any money, or I can't afford to get sick, or I don't have any money. I didn't think about, oh my God, I owe taxes. Like it will just reduce the stress that shows up because you have been putting money aside in all of these accounts, right? Like the idea is that your money should have a job, right? It shouldn't just be sitting there. It should have a job. So that's your action step, whether you actually go ahead and you open up those checking accounts and or savings accounts, preferably savings accounts. But I will talk about that in another video. And then you will then start to think about, how would I feed this bucket? How would I feed these buckets, plural, right? So that I can meet those variable needs. And that's not even including like expenses, right? Like that, like maybe you contribute to your household, because that's maybe another account. If you like, I'm married, so we have a joint account. So for me personally, I also have money that goes into a joint account that goes to pay for our expenses. But for like for me, professional development, we don't touch our money for that. That's like my planting seeds money goes for that, goes for taxes because I pay taxes on planting seeds, and then also conferences, and then also my fun money. So when I like want to get my hair done, or I want to buy a book, or I want to buy a puzzle, I just know that there's money aside for that to access that. So that is your task for today. See ya.